Hey there, welcome. My name is Jessica Buchanan, and I'm a New York Times bestselling author, professional speaker, and founder of Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing company created for women who've been through something, now they know something, and they can teach us something. In Her Words is a podcast designed to support aspiring memoir authors on their writing and publishing journey. It's hard work, this writing and publishing stuff, and I want to empower you with encouragement and information so you can keep sharing your truth. So grab your coffee, your notebook, find a quiet space, and let's dive in. Well, hey, everybody. I am very happy to be sitting here at my desk recording this episode with you all. Boy, this last month has just been crazy with travel for speaking events, which I know I'm very grateful for. But oh, you're gonna hear my chair creaking a lot. But it's been yeah, kind of crazy. There's just been a lot going on. And Mika, who does our podcast and all the things podcast related, emailed and said, I can't find the episode for this week. And I was like, oh, huh. How about that? I think I forgot to record it. So I did have something on my heart that I wanted to share, but it will probably be a little bit shorter than usual, because it's just me talking here. But I've been thinking a lot over the month, as I've been traveling and working, and we've been just bonkers busy here at Soul Speak Press, with all kinds of new projects that I can't wait to share with you. But I talk about this a lot, especially on my Instagram page, but I really am a big believer in rejection being protection. I saw that phrase. I think Gabby Bernstein is probably the first place I saw that quote, that rejection is protection or rejection is redirection. So fill in the blank, whichever one works best for you. But for me, I guess I'm going to go with both, right? Because I get the stories that I want to share with you today have a lot to do with redirection, and the redirection is protection. So stay with me here, but I want to speak to you as authors, as prospective authors, as published writers, whatever space you're in. And I just want to, I guess, offer you a reframe. If you're feeling frustrated, maybe you're shopping your proposal and you've been shopping it for 6 months or a year and you haven't found an agent, or you've been checking into hybrid publishers, or you've just been working on a manuscript or an essay and you're just feeling rejected. You're feeling like you're getting radio silence. You're not getting the response that you desire or expect. I'd like to offer you a reframe by sharing you a part of my journey, my personal story. And I've shared this in other capacities, I think on some of the courses that we give away for free here at Soul Speak Press about publishing, like which publishing path is right for you. But I'll go ahead and share it again. When the kidnapping happened, of course, I had no idea that the FBI was involved, or that it was a high profile media event, and that the news stations had barricaded my sister and her husband inside their home, and that my dad and my brother were like in hiding because they couldn't get out the front door. I had no idea that President Obama had issued that um the order for SEAL Team 6 to come in and rescue me and all of that. How could I know? I was being held hostage. And I just remember we were in Italy at a military base for like a week, and that's where I reunited with my husband. And then we went like kind of incognito and flew across the country and reunited with my dad and sister and her husband and my brother in Oregon. And the media was expecting us to be in Philly for some reason. And so we were able to dodge that. And we just went, as they say, we went dark. And I didn't answer any calls for media. I didn't do any interviews. I know my dad did a phone interview with Diane Sawyer and just expressed thanks to President Obama and the US military. Um, And that's the extent of it. But in the, in the interim, I was getting, emails. My dad was getting phone calls because of the connection to SEAL Team 6. It was a very popular story, right? But I had no idea what to say. I had no idea if I wanted to say anything other than thank you. I know we issued a statement through a PR firm, and that was about it. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it outside of my family. And then I found out I was pregnant like shortly after the rescue. And then I was just like in the middle of trying to survive like being sick and a first time pregnancy and everything that entailed. And so I woke up, people would constantly be like, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I'm like, ugh, yes, I love to write. Eventually someday I'll get to it, but I don't have the bandwidth, I don't have the energy or the strength right now to like go back and revisit all of that. And then I woke up about 6 months into like my pregnancy. I still remember this morning. It was kind of a cloudy, rainy morning. We were in Nairobi, Kenya, which was home for us, and where I was going to have my son, and we had moved into a new home, and I loved our house and my dogs, and things were feeling much better, but still I was pretty anxious. But I remember waking up and saying to my husband, I just had this feeling, and I said, I think I'm ready to start talking about writing all of this down. I think I'm ready to start thinking about writing a book. And when we were in the States, I think, I don't know, like at some point during, probably over the summer or something, I remember him, this is back in the days, we Googled for sure, but it wasn't like it is now. And social media, definitely, Instagram didn't even exist. And so social media wasn't what it is now. And we bought this book, or my husband bought this book at Barnes and Noble back when we went to bookstores to buy books, about like how to basically shop a memoir. And so the first step was to find an agent. And it had a list of agents in New York who you could reach out to about your story. And I mean, gosh, if only it were that easy, right? And he emailed a handful of agents that were listed in the back of the book. And I remember one of them in particular, and I think he was like for some reason, I think he had like his specialty was in law or something. And he wrote back and he was very, very like abrupt and very kind of rude and said, yeah, it's an interesting story. It would probably make for a better article than a book. I don't think it's a whole book. And we were like, I really agree with that, And so that was like first rejection. We finally found an agent who wanted to work with us, and we wanted to work with her. And that process was fairly streamlined. Again, I always try to make sure people understand that I understand that I was very lucky and kind of a one in a million situation there in terms of like that traditional publishing package and the advance and the agent and all of that. And it had to do with the fact that it was a high profile media event and the fact that we were willing to give away part of our advance to a ghostwriter to write the parts that I didn't feel capable of writing and to help structure the book and whatnot. So, fast forward, the book becomes a New York Times bestseller. Awesome. And my, speaking career takes off. Didn't even know that was a thing. Didn't know if I would be good at it. I just like had no idea. Like I just had no idea what was going to unfold. And then had another baby, had my Emma, and trying to figure out what to do with all of this, what to do with this story. I knew that it had a bigger significance than just surviving it, right? And then giving the odd keynote. I knew I wanted to do something related to the story. I went back to teaching for a couple of years because my kids were getting bigger and I wanted to go back to work, and I didn't know yet what I was meant to do, what my purpose was. I really spent a lot of years exploring and trying all kinds of things. I went and studied Western herbalism really seriously, got really into that. Started an outdoor education program at a Title I public school, was really into that. All kinds of stuff. And then started my podcast with my co-podcast partner. We should talk about that. And I just remember getting a lot of clarity. I think working on that podcast really helped me get clarity in terms of like, oh, I want to keep telling my story. Oh, I want to keep writing. We started this writers group that no one showed up to, and that's why the podcast started. That's another story for another day. But again, rejection, no one showed up, and it redirected us into like the space of having this top 1% ranking podcast for 3 years, which was awesome. I had the best time. So I was in the middle of all of that, and then the pandemic, right? The pandemic hit and just turned everybody's lives upside down. But I started to get really clear, oh, you know what? I want to write about like this deserts to mountaintops, this surviving survival thing, and what it's like to, rebuild your life after trauma. And I took that, I put it all in a proposal. I took it to my agent. She wasn't really interested in it. We kind of parted ways by then. Like it didn't end very well. And but gave me a contact at the publisher Simon and Schuster, because technically I had a 2-book contract with them, so they wanted first rights to my second book. But a lot of time had passed, and my social media following, now Instagram exists and TikTok exists, and none of that was big enough, because I think I probably had like 3,000 followers or something at the time. And so they very swiftly released me from my contract and said, they thought my story was very harrowing, but they thought it was too similar to the first book. And so therefore I was free to go shop that around. And I remember getting that email and just jumping up and down for joy, right? Because that's the email that most writers dread. But for me, I had already started thinking about Soul Speak Press and what that could look like. And I knew I wanted to launch Deserts to Mountaintops, the first volume, Our Collective Journey to Reclaiming Our Voice. And I hadn't started gathering authors for that yet. I had just been dreaming, like in my heart and in my journal, what that could look like. But I knew that was never going to sell in the traditional marketplace, because traditional publishers are not going to publish an anthology, because working with all those authors is just the biggest pain in the butt. And so, not that I think it is, but they think it is. And I felt so compelled and so excited about what this project could look like, and working with all these women and community and sacred sisterhood and all of that. I was just praying that I would be released from my contract, that I would be rejected, so that I could then move forward in this other direction, right? And so when I got that rejection email, yes, I had already processed. And I think there's probably a part of me, maybe there was a little part of me, it was like, really, you're not even going to fight for it a little bit? Just, wow, you really don't care. We got you a New York Times bestseller, and you don't want anything else? Okay, fine. But that was very quick to move. I was very quick to move through that and to then settle into what this could mean, right? So I put the call out, and I've always said Soul Speak Press is the biggest, like one of the biggest faith walks in my work life, because oftentimes I have no idea how things are going to turn out, but I have an idea, and I sit and I meditate with it. I'll talk to a few trusted confidants. I'll talk it over with Lauren, see what she thinks. And if we decide to move forward, then I'm just like, okay, God, like you're just going to have to guide this and lead us. And I'm a very much, to borrow the phrase from Jenna Kutcher, a woo meets the work kind of person. I'm one of the hardest workers you're probably ever going to meet, but I'm a woo person too. And I believe in alignment. I believe divine timing. I believe in this rejection is protection. And so I don't get like all freaked out when something doesn't work out. Like oftentimes I'll get an inquiry about a date, and if I'm available for a speaking event, and we'll have like all the details, and then they'll decide to move in another direction. And I used to get all bent out of shape about that, because I really wanted the event, and I wanted to go speak to that group, and the money sure would have been nice. But now I'm just like, it'll come through in another way. Like I have this deep, deep trust that it's all going to work out. And so that's really like the approach that I take to Soul Speak Press and to the work that we do here. Again, you're never, I mean, I work my butt off. My whole team does. We work so hard, but we also believe and trust in that God, the universe, our spiritual guides, whatever, our spirit guides, our spiritual sacred spiritual team, whatever you want to call them. I've got all kinds of words I need to settle on a name that we're being guided in this work, hence the name Soul Speak Press, right? So, the first debut of the first book that comes out from Soul Speak Press is DTM1. And what happens? I think we hit #1 bestseller in like 13 categories on Amazon on the day that we launched. I mean, that's just like unheard of. It's bonkers. I mean, short of being a New York Times bestseller, which will never happen with any books from Soul Speak Press because we're not one of the top 5/6 publishing houses out of New York. But to be a New York or to be an Amazon bestseller and hit in multiple categories, like that's pretty slamming. That's pretty awesome. And so we were just so proud and so excited. And then like had such a great experience with that first one. It was like, well, let's do another one. And then women started reaching out because they wanted to publish their books with us. And now they're reaching out because they want to publish their anthologies with us and they want us to curate their anthology experiences. And the ones who have it curated with us are looking for ways to stay connected and to continue doing projects with us. I have one author who did DTM1. She is about ready to publish her memoir manifesto, and it is now just signed a contract to lead her own anthology. All of that happened because I was rejected from the big top 5 publisher, right? So when I look at like the ripple effect, okay, and I was just on a call with a prospective author earlier today, and we were talking about how we really here our goal as Soul Speak Press is to share our stories so that we can take our power back, right? So we can be empowered by speaking our truth, but it's also to offer our readers an opportunity for transformation. It's to offer them an opportunity for renewal and healing. And so that as we share the lessons that we've learned through whatever it is we've survived, right? We want to offer them a survival guide, a page in their survival guide, at least, right? And so when I think about the ripple effect of what that first rejection, if that first rejection hadn't happened, all of this wouldn't have taken place. So by the end of 2025, going into 2026, we have 18 projects still on our books that we are going to be working through, 18 books that will be coming out in 2025 and in the first part of 2026. And we haven't even started taking submissions for 2026 yet. So that's just what's come in now. We will have worked with nearly 200 authors who have told 200 different stories of overcoming, of impossible odds, of survival, of thriving, of just a massive resilience. 200. And then if you think about all of, let's say each one of those 200 has had 10 people read their story and be affected by it. What is that? 2,000, something like that. And it just keeps math's never been my strong suit. It just keeps rippling and multiplying exponentially from there. The number of people that I hear from on a daily basis and through my Instagrams who have been moved by me sharing my story, or they've read DTMs, or they've read another book that Soul Speak Press has put out, and they've been moved, they've been inspired, they've been challenged. It's, to me, makes it all worth it. It really does. And what I mean by all worth it, I mean the work. Um, I just think that I marvel at where we're at, and we've only been in business for about 2.5 years. And I know we're just getting started, in terms of we have so many ideas and so many opportunities that we want to bring to you guys for an opportunity to write and to share your stories and to share your vision. We make it accessible for you to come in and write and to publish your memoir and to work in groups and to create these group experiences through these anthology curations. So, that's a little bit about my journey. But I just wanted to share that. It's been on my heart for the last couple of weeks, and I just wanted to share that with you because I know so many of you feel um probably frustrated and a little downtrodden because you haven't gotten the result that you expected or that you hoped for. But I want you to just be reminded that and look for an opportunity for redirection. Look for an opportunity to realize that you're being protected. And maybe it's not about writing, maybe it's not about your book, maybe it's about a friendship, or maybe it's about a relationship or another situation at work. Maybe you're listening to this and it has nothing to do with your writing or your story at all. But I know that when I feel compelled to share something, it's for a reason. And so I just hope that you'll take heart and know that you are being protected, that you are being supported. And if there's anything we can help you with over here at Soul Speak Press, just give us a call, send us an email, get on my schedule. Let's have a chat. And in the meantime, I hope you'll keep writing. In Her Words is hosted by me, Jessica Buchanan, and is produced by Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing house for women who are ready to tell their story. If you would like to know more about our submission process, I encourage you to check us out at www.soulspeakpress.com or follow us over on Instagram at Soul Speak Press. We appreciate all your questions, and if you would like to leave us a review, we would be so grateful.